This is a huge week for AI news. The AI juggernaut is rolling along, and we're seeing the effects of it on jobs, the economy, as well as the potential military conflict that might occur because of it. Today, let's look at all the big things that are happening in the world of AI, starting with the exciting breakthroughs. And at the end, we're going to look at some of the troubling developments at the intersection of AI and war. As I'm recording this, a former U.S. intelligence agent is testifying under oath that the U.S. government has recovered biological material from a spacecraft that crash landed on Earth, aka dead alien pilots. Does it feel like life is just getting crazier and crazier? We're not going to talk about aliens though. Let's switch back to AI. First and foremost, ChatGPT for Android is available. It's pretty awesome. You can still use custom instructions. I wasn't able to put them into the actual Android app, but if you do enter them in your browser, the Android app does remember them. And then when you're talking to ChatGPT, you're able to keep those custom instructions. So if, for example, for me, I hate how it always gives you disclaimers and talks at length about everything. So I always add, hey, just cut out the disclaimers. Don't say as an AI model, blah, blah, blah. Just give me the answer without any sort of roundabout anything. And that works great. If you're using GPT-4, it can be a little bit slow. So having that in there just makes everything so much faster. On the app too, you can actually dictate what you want. You can push the little microphone button, say your query out loud, and it will go ahead and get transferred to ChatGPT. So you don't even have to type. Now, if you have an iPhone, you've had this for a while. So yay for you. Next, AI tool creates complete South Park episode. Now, at first, a lot of people said this was fake, but it's looking very, very real. I had to drive through LA a couple days ago, and the writer strike is real. It's all over the streets. Tons of people are out with the picket signs, walking around the studios. And one of the demands is to actually address sort of the AI writers, the AI being able to write episodes, etc. So a group called The Simulation created a little thing where you can actually just create full-blown South Park episodes. It'll write the script, it'll animate it, it'll add all the sound effects. Looks like South Park was just the first of many. Many more things are coming. And this is right sort of concurrently with the Hollywood writer strike. They did post their research paper, so that's something. So if you're interested, it's going to be available. So here's kind of what that looks like.
Correct, Stan. It's important to consider ethical aspects of it, as well as the ongoing debate about.
This is ridiculous. Our creativity and years of experience and education can't possibly be replaced by some algorithms and programming. If this
Bizney, it
So
says.
you're telling me that the writers are threatening to strike because of the AI-generated television pilots we produce? Yes, sir. They claim that our AI shows are low quality and lack the emotional depth that human writers provide.
I do plan to do a full episode on it once I'm able to get the paper and look over it, but it's been pretty crazy so far. But it is interesting how fast everything's developing and how concurrently, like, it's been a little bit surreal because driving through LA, seeing the writer strike, and then having this thing come out right around the same time, kind of showing where we are, where AI is right now, it is a little bit surreal. Next on our list, one of the breakthroughs is Steve 1, a generative model for text to behavior in Minecraft. Now, I've covered Voyager, the Minecraft AI that the NVIDIA team has put together. It's open source if you want to try it. It's absolutely incredible. It's a really good example of a autonomous AI agent that is able to play Minecraft and learn and expand and create new skills and like reason about the game and stuff like that. It's an incredible application of the AI technology. It's run almost entirely on GPT-4. So it's not some fancy, complicated underground lab AI. It's GPT-4. It's pretty much the same thing that all of us can access for whatever it is, $19 a month. And this is another thing that kind of is in the same vein. So here it says Steve 1 costs just $60 to train and can follow a wide range of short horizon, open-ended text and visual instructions in Minecraft. So you can type, go build a house or go mine whatever, and it's going to go and execute your task out there. Now, some people might be wondering, why is this important? Why is it so exciting that AI can play Minecraft? Which brings me to another thing that happened this week. So this is co-founder of DeepMind, Mustafa Suleyman. So he co-founded DeepMind, he sold to Google. Now he's running Inflection AI, another big name in the space. And he's proposing a new sort of modern Turing test. And this modern Turing test is based on entrepreneurship. The test asks AI to turn $100,000 in seed money, so sort of startup capital, into $1 million by devising an original product idea, creating an e-commerce business plan, finding manufacturers, and listing the item. The test would allow evaluators to measure AI's ability to set goals, plan, and execute complex tasks. Now, I've covered this in full in a previous video, but it's important to understand that Mustafa believes that this is going to happen, very likely to happen within the next 2 years. And after looking at where we are with these autonomous agents playing Minecraft games, it's easy to see why. We're not that far. Minecraft and mining materials in a 3D world and building castles and then creating farms with pigs on them and stuff like that. The skills that the AI would need to master aren't that different from running, for example, an e-commerce store. Now, running an e-commerce store is a little bit chaotic in a sense that you have to deal with real people, so it's a little bit more unpredictable. But the point is that though we have a lot of the Lego pieces that we need to build this, we're very close. We're seeing a lot of research coming out of Google and DeepMind, NVIDIA, OpenAI, Microsoft. A lot of it is pointing that we're not as far from this as we would have even guessed even 5 years ago. GPT-4 was a huge step forward, and now as the other models are catching up, even the open source models are catching up, things like this Steve 1, they're important to pay attention to, because it's very possible that this would be sort of a prototype version of this entrepreneur AI that's able to build a $1 million business. Maybe you don't need it to do it 100% on its own. Maybe you could give it some instructions like research 10 different products I can sell online that fit a certain criteria. For example, they're lightweight and easy to ship. So for example, you could give it, 10 different criteria that you want this product to have, and then it goes, finds it, researches it, contacts a few people to get quotes on how much it would cost to manufacture, etc. Having an agent like this that executes your task based on a simple command would fundamentally change how the e-commerce game is played, how most businesses are run. My guess is that once the first few people start using technology like this, the people that don't have it, the people that are lagging behind, they're simply not going to be able to compete. I'm going to be posting a full video about how I'm planning to build something like this. I've been doing e-commerce for over a decade now, and seeing what ChatGPT with GPT-4 can do to automate something like an e-commerce business is mind-blowing. On that note, Shopify. So Shopify is one of the biggest providers of e-commerce software on the internet. Basically, if you're running e-commerce, most small and medium-sized players and a lot of the large players will use Shopify. Now, some will sell exclusively on Amazon. Some might only sell on other platforms like Walmart or Etsy or whatever. There's a few other e-commerce software that people use, but a lot of it has been soaked up by Shopify. For most people, if you're looking just for this plug-and-play solution that has all of the stuff that you need built in, Shopify is the way to go. Shopify is what I've been using since 2011 or 2012, and it's been incredible watching it evolve. And it's in the AI news this week as Shopify employee breaks NDA to reveal that firm is quietly replacing laid-off workers with AI. So it looks like here's the person that leaked this information saying that all the people that were replaced, a lot of the customer service agents for Shopify, so it looks like they're going to be being replaced with cheap contract work and AI support. Everything in Shopify is turning to AI, from product descriptions to virtual sidekicks to a new help center AI agent. So this Toby Lutke, I believe it's pronounced, so he's the founder CEO of Shopify, but he did something like this, more with less. Workers needed S&P 500 companies to generate $1 million in revenue. As you can see, there's a steep decline. What I don't like about this, they really need to say if it's adjusted for inflation or not, because the U.S. government has been printing a lot of money. As the young kids say, the money printer goes burr. Actually, here's a better chart. So as you can see here, it's kind of showing some of the same information. This one is adjusted for CPI, which I think is a much better sort of representation of the fact that these large corporations have been able to do more with less employees, make more money with less employees. But this tells a little bit of a different story. It looks like there's been a little bit of a stagnation over here. Again, I haven't looked at the numbers deeply, so please don't quote me on that. But I think the point is well taken, especially as we get more and more automation, more and more AI automation. Goldman Sachs projects that somewhere like a quarter of the U.S. workforce can be completely replaced by AI, and 2/3 of it will be affected somehow. And that's not robotics, that's not physical automation, that's things like GPT, that's things like GPT-4, other generative AI. We're seeing everybody roll out, Microsoft, Adobe, like everybody's rolling out their own versions of this. Shopify is jumping on AI, trying to replace customer service with it. And so this person, he's talking about how customer satisfaction is going to drop. There's going to be a horrible effect on the service that we provide to our customers. Now, the customers, it's important to understand, are the e-commerce store owners. So he's saying a merchant wanting to speak to Shopify support may now wait hours to speak to an agent. And if they get through to a human being, they're going to be speaking to someone who's overworked or burnt out. Number 11 has been deleted, not sure why. Now, obviously, we have all our different opinions on this thing. People that are losing their jobs to AI, it is important to consider them and understand that it's a very difficult situation. And I think that this is just a drop in the bucket compared to what's about to come as this thing really gets going and really gets rolled out. I think a lot of people are pointing their fingers at Shopify's management. The writer's strike in Hollywood, they're pointing their fingers at the management of whatever company, whatever studio they work for. I'm not an economist. I probably don't know what I'm talking about, but this seems to be a lot bigger than this company or that company. Very simply, we rely on a system of people having jobs and being able to feed themselves. That may not be compatible with AI. AI will most likely, and Sam Altman has said this in some of his blog posts, it will drive the cost of human labor to zero. In other words, it will drive the cost of what people are willing to pay for human labor to zero. The person that leaked this information is talking about how this will make it worse for Shopify's customers. Like those Shopify customers will have worse customer support. And he might be right. But I do want to give the other side of the story as a Shopify customer that's been for over a decade paying the Shopify bills and running an e-commerce platform on there. Shopify is experimenting with turning their entire customer service department into AI. If they're able to completely replace that with AI, they will be saving millions of dollars. They will work out a system, iron out the kinks, figure out all the bugs. They're going to be on the very cutting edge of that. This may be one of the first companies that completely replaces human support staff with AI, with email support, chatbots, etc. Instead of talking to a human, you'll be able to 24 hours a day get a chatbot that's going to help you solve your problems, answer your questions, and this will cost Shopify, zero. I mean, there's going to be some costs involved with building this stuff. There's going to be some costs paying OpenAI or whomever the API of whatever AI company you're using, but it's going to be some fraction of 1% versus paying the salaries and 401ks and health insurance for all of the people. I believe they're a Canadian company, but so I don't know what exactly their expenses are versus a US company, but I mean, it's huge. Once that happens, they're going to have a working system that is able to help people, that is able to completely automate customer service by AI. The service that they provide is software for people to run their e-commerce stores. Thousands, tens of thousands, how many clients they have paying them every month. All those people run commerce stores. All those people have to do customer support through email, through chat. So guess what they're going to do with that system once it's done. They're going to roll it out to their customers being e-commerce store owners. And that costs quite a bit. I can tell you that, you spend thousands of dollars a month on support because you have to pay real people. You have to have somebody, oftentimes this gets outsourced to, for example, the Philippines or any other country really, but a lot of people choose to use overseas labor because the US dollar goes a lot further over there. If you're paying somebody in the Philippines $600 a month to answer emails or answer the phone or whatever, that is a very good salary over there. They're able to feed their family, pay rent or whatever. It's higher than what they would get paid working locally. So if you have a few people, like let's say answering the phone or doing email, that might run you a few thousand easily. When Shopify is able to perfect the AI software that is able to replace that, they're going to roll it out to their tens of thousands of customers. Overnight, saving each thousands of dollars a month. They'll be able to charge easily a few hundred a month for that app. They can do it as a percentage of how many questions get answered, et cetera, and everyone's going to take it. Unless somebody has sort of certain concerns about using AI and has enough money to pay human beings. But vast majority of people will take that app, replace human labor with this. And I think Shopify stock is going to do really well. It's down 61% from its peak to today. This is a phenomenal company, and I think they're going to keep compounding. And I think they're going to ride this AI wave all the way to the moon. Again, I understand where this person is coming from. I don't know what their real name is. I doubt that it's Joe Mama. But I think that it's important to understand that for a lot of these companies, the incentives are such that there's no way they're not going to use AI. And this is going to be a recurring theme for years, for decades. And people are going to be upset. People are going to be upset with these companies. They're going to blame the companies. I don't think the companies are to blame. I don't even know if there's necessarily anyone to blame. I think we need to accept that AI is here a lot faster than we are ready for, and that we need to start coming up with better solutions. That's just my 2 cents on the issue. But let's continue. Next, we have Free Willy from Stability AI. Meet Free Willy, our large language and mighty instruction fine-tuned models. So more and more things are coming out that are sort of threatening GPT-4. They're trying to be better than it by a lot of these different metrics. A lot of these are open sourced, meaning that anybody can contribute to it. It's free. And a lot of people really want the open source community to win instead of, a few big tech companies holding all the power. Some people argue against that because they think that this would be less safe. But in general, that argument is kind of dismissed by the tech community. Most people view this as this technology has to be free and open for everyone. And for the most part, I agree. I do think that if AI was just developed behind closed doors and held by, let's say, certain governments or certain big tech companies, that would be kind of a scary future because they would have all the control over everything. And open source is an important counterbalance to that. As long as we have open source solutions that are, even if they never get better than the closed sourced ones, as long as they're always right on their heels and within, 10, 20% of their abilities, I think that we're going to have a pretty good balance of power. And in fact, this is what the leaders at OpenAI have stated before. Ilya Sutskever kind of said that in one of his interviews. He thinks that while OpenAI and Google and all of them, they might be the leaders of the pack, open source will never be that far behind. At the same time, we have Meta, Google, and OpenAI promised the White House to develop AI responsibly. OpenAI just today, I think, announced this Frontier Model Forum. So they're forming a new industry body to promote the safe and responsible development of frontier AI systems, advancing AI safety research, identifying best practices and standards, and facilitating information sharing among policymakers and industry. And included in this is Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI. So the idea here is that the best and biggest models are the most dangerous potentially because they're sort of at the frontier where things can happen, at the frontier of development of AI, where things can happen rather quickly without us realizing what happened, where errors could be very costly. And so it's been proposed that these big models that are at the frontier of development, that they would be governed in some way, that they would be controlled in some way. Now, it's important to understand that these companies have entered into these agreements voluntarily, so there's no consequences if they fail to live up to the promises. Sam Altman, in his congressional hearing, did say that these regulations shouldn't apply to the smaller companies, to the smaller open source projects. So a lot of the things that they're saying do seem to be for the greater good of all. Now, of course, there's people that don't believe it. They're saying that this is something that's called regulatory capture, where basically like all these big players, Amazon, Anthropic, Google, Inflection, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, like these are the big players. These are the people that are winning the race. They have all the money, all the capital, all the talent, that they're going to use the government to build a moat around them so that other people can't get in. They said, okay, we've got these models, but all these other little guys can eventually catch up. So what if we use the government to outlaw the competition? So it's only us that are able to develop these advanced models and nobody else can come close. So that's sort of the counter argument. This is what a lot of people are accusing them of doing. Certainly that would be a scary situation if they would use the government to prevent competition, to prevent innovation. And obviously we're going to see if that is in fact the case or not. But that in fact has been the playbook for a lot of companies in the US, including in drug manufacturing, the energy sector, military, etc. You get big enough and wealthy enough to start controlling Congress, controlling the lawmakers, and then kind of have them create the laws that then outlaw your competition. So scary, but we'll see if this is where we're going, or perhaps there is some sort of brighter future. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Next, AI talent is in high demand, even at non-tech companies. And jobs are paying way over 6 figures, up to 300,000. I love how 6 figures kind of evolved to now mean like 100,000. Technically 6 figures is everything between 100,000 and just $1 shy of 1 million. But I think most people would just say 6 figures to mean 100,000. So this is way over 6 figures, 300,000. But yeah, you're seeing a lot of these jobs, not even for necessarily like the machine learning PhD people that have been doing this for a lot, but anybody that knows a little bit about, for example, ChatGPT and how to incorporate and stuff like that. Since there's a huge demand for this, right? It's a brand new position that opened up, huge demand, not enough supply, not enough people know how to use it. So of course, what happens in that situation, the law of supply and demand, the price skyrockets. And we're probably going to be seeing this for quite a while, especially considering the fact that the progress was going so fast that there was always going to be a demand for newer skills in this field. So if you're looking for a higher paying job, getting into AI is not a bad idea. And again, this doesn't just mean getting into machine learning or the high mathematics or whatever. There's a lot of stuff to do here that's outside of that. A lot of people that are doing graphic design, 3D modeling, stuff like that are beginning to use AI more and more. Prompt engineering is becoming very popular. So just the ability of using existing models, just using English language to get the most out of them that you can, that's becoming a more in-demand skill. Now, I think eventually everyone who's employed is going to know how to use AI in one degree or another, similar to how right now, if you're working in most professions, I mean, you probably know how to use a computer, you know how to use Excel, stuff like that. I think AI is going to be the equivalent of knowing how to use Word or Excel or the internet browser. This one's a little bit dated, but I figured I'd quickly bring it up again. OpenAI considers creating an app store for AI software. So just like the original iPhone, after it came out and launched, I believe sometime later, it launched the App Store that people could build an app for. That was a big deal. A lot of people made a lot of money. A lot of people made a lot of money without really anything good. Like, I think one of the best-selling apps initially was this, what's called the fart app, where you would push a button and it would fart. And that was making, 6 figures per month or more, huge amounts of money. But as Sam Altman pointed out, the apps that really did well are the people that are the ones that had sort of a long-term vision. They provided value and they continued building and innovating over time. So if you missed the dot-com boom, the Silicon Valley boom, and you wish it would come around again, this is it. This is going to be probably a big part of this AI wave. Sam Altman said that he wants for their AI platform to be kind of like a base layer on which other people would build their software, similar to how the internet, you can think of it as a base layer on top of which people would build the Google, the Amazon, the Meta, Facebook, etc. So like we were talking about earlier, Shopify, moving all their customer service towards AI, they might as well use OpenAI software and just build on top of that. They don't have to create something from scratch, just put everything on top of OpenAI, and then all they have to do is sort of train and fine tune it towards their specific needs and let OpenAI take care of doing everything else. At the beginning of 2023, I said that OpenAI could be the first AI company to reach $1 trillion valuation. If they nail this vision, I think that would be easily accomplished. Now, some of you might know who Alex Karp is. So he's the founder, the CEO of Palantir, the AI company for military application, Alexander Karp. And so they work with the U.S. Department of Defense as well as some other private companies. And so here he is saying, and again, some people love this guy, some people hate this guy. Here he is calling to be more aggressive for the U.S. to develop military applications of AI. He's saying if we don't, the world could look very different. There's a lot of people that would love to gain a technological advantage over the U.S., and that would mean chaos and war, according to him. And that certainly makes sense. His point here is that a lot of the Silicon Valley tech people are not focused on the right dangers of AI. So he's saying a significant amount of attention has been also directed at the policing of language that chatbots use and to patrolling the limits of acceptable discourse with the machine, so censoring what AI says. The desire to shape these models in our image and to require them to conform to a particular set of norms governing interpersonal interaction is understandable, but may be a distraction for the more fundamental risks that these new technologies present. The focus on the propriety of speech produced by language models may reveal more about our own preoccupations and fragilities as a culture than it does the technology itself. Our attention should be instead more urgently directed at building the technical architecture and regulatory framework that would construct moats and guardrails around AI's program's ability to autonomously integrate with other systems. And he's saying that if we don't move forward with the AI military applications, we will be punished for that. And so he's saying while other countries press forward, many Silicon Valley engineers remain opposed to working on software projects that may have offensive military applications. So he's saying a lot of people at Microsoft didn't want to work with the U.S. Army. A lot of people at Google didn't want to work with the U.S. Department of Defense. And he goes on to say that basically those people, and he kind of takes a poke at them by saying the wunderkind of Silicon Valley, their fortunes, business empires, and more fundamentally, their entire sense of self exist because of the nation that in many cases made that rise possible. They charge themselves with constructing vast technical empires, but decline to offer support to the state whose protection and underlying social fabric have provided the necessary conditions for their ascent. They would do well to understand that debt, even if it remains unpaid. And then interestingly, he also points out that Albert Einstein in the summer of 1939 was the one that urged President Franklin Roosevelt to explore building a nuclear weapon, and quickly. So this is certainly an interesting piece, and Alex Karp is certainly an interesting guy. I don't know if you've seen any interviews of him. He's kind of out there, but obviously a very intelligent person. Now, I think everybody should read this letter, and I'll post it in the description if you want to see it. And everybody should decide for themselves whether they agree with him or not. The only thing that I would say that I am a little bit concerned with how much time is spent talking about the bad words that the AI is going to say, the things that it may or may not say. I feel like that's really distracting from the real things the real threats that AI can bring. There are people right now that are saying that China, for example, is gearing up for war. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that everyone is trying to get to AI right now. Everybody's trying to develop that technology. A lot of that relies on having these advanced chips, these advanced computer chips, microchips, a lot of which are made in Taiwan. Something like 96% of the world's advanced chips, the kind of chips that we use for AI, are produced there. Putin is talking about AI. He's talking about how it's incredibly useful and it will, I think he said something along the lines of, the person that gets to AI first will rule the world. And I think he said that back in 2017. So they're certainly paying attention to this. And he's saying that basically they must get there by any means. So any sort of attempts to get closer to AI must be supported. And he's comparing it to the atomic race, the race to build a nuclear bomb back in the 40s and 50s, and to the race to have ballistic missiles and all that stuff. The person talking about the possibility that China is gearing up for war, his name is Carl Bass. So he was one of the people that saw the 2008 real estate market collapse, along with Michael Burry. This guy right here, it was played by Christian Bale in the movie The Big Short. Great movie, by the way. Also a great book. I'm not saying any of this will happen or will not happen. I have no idea. But what I am saying is that everything surrounding AI is heating up. Not just the competition to build the best products, but also the anger against companies laying off people to be replaced by AI. Also, we have this competition worldwide for military supremacy amongst these nations, as well as a competition by companies to get the best AI talent on board. Things are heating up and things are speeding up. So the best advice I can give you is stay tuned in. This is serious. This is for all the marbles. Thank you for watching. My name is Wes Roth, and aliens? Really? Aliens? This is real? We recovered aliens? What? Anyways, talk to you soon.